My name is Paige. I'm a 28-year-old full-time housewife. 5 years ago, I got married to my husband, Kevin, who is 2 years older than me. Right now, we are a happy family of 3 with our 3-year-old daughter, Pauline. Previously, I used to work full-time at a company, but when I discovered that I was pregnant with Pauline, I resigned from the company and became a full-time housewife. In the next town over, my mother, Penny, was living by herself. So Pauline and I went over often to visit her. Hey Mom, we're here.
Grandma, I'm here too. Oh dear, welcome both of you. Since you said you were coming today, I made your favorite sweet potato fries. Yay! Grandma's sweet potato fries are the best!
Wow, this is so nostalgic. Ever since we were little, Mom, you always used to make handmade treats. My mother was a full-time housewife, and she was always an amazing cook. And I also learned a lot of recipes from her. 2 years ago, my father passed away, and so my mother lives in the family home by herself. Since we were about to build a new house, I asked her multiple times if she wanted to move in with us, but
I have so many memories in this house with your father. While my body can still move, I want to continue living here.
And she rejected our offer. To be fair, my mother was still 65 years old, she didn't have any illnesses, and she was very healthy. So I thought that it would be best for my mother to be able to spend her days as she wanted to. However, not long after that, an incident was going to occur that was going to destroy my mother's peaceful life. I have an older sister named Karen, who is 2 years older than me. Since we were kids, she's been selfish and self-centered, and my sister was always causing trouble to our family. As soon as she graduated from high school, she ran away from home. After that, and then she would come back home, but she would repeatedly ask for money, and my parents were reluctantly supporting her from afar. Even when my father became sick and he was hospitalized, she didn't come to visit him once. At the time of the funeral, she suddenly barged in and caused a huge commotion, demanding to get some of the inheritance. In the end, my mom had no choice but to give her some money to get her to leave. Even though she was my only sibling, I didn't have a single memory with my older sister. And if anything, my sister was even famous in the neighborhood for being a bully. And so my childhood was a mess. And that big sister showed up at home out of nowhere. By coincidence, on that day, I was also there, but
Looks like you're still living in this house. This sad, poor house.
wait, Karen?
Oh, Paige. Long time no see.
Listen, you've been living selfishly this whole time, and you come home and immediately call this a sad, poor house?
Because it's the truth. Well, I guess this is perfect for an old hag to live in by herself.
Hey, that's awful. How can you?
Actually, I couldn't pay the rent for my apartment anymore. So for a while, we will live together with you. You're welcome.
Excuse me? And then, with my sister, appeared this man who she said she recently married.
Oh, this is my husband, Henry.
My mother and I didn't have a clue that my sister had gotten married, and our eyes went blank. Karen, when did you get married?
Huh? Maybe about 3 months ago. Look at you, Paige. Henry is so handsome and you're falling in love at first sight.
No, I'm definitely not falling in love. I am getting exhausted looking at them. His skin was extremely tan, blonde, covered in accessories, and no matter how you looked at it, he was a cheap-looking man.
Her name is Paige? Your little sister? What a funny name.
What a rude guy. As we got to talking, it turned out that Henry was 32 years old and basically unemployed.
Guess what? Henry used to be an escort. Now sometimes he works as a model, but he's planning on becoming successful as an actor someday. Until then, even if we're poor, the two of us are going to stick together.
Wow, a former escort and unemployed. In this world, that's what we call a freeloader. She says that they're going to stick together, but they were kicked out of their apartment, weren't they? As usual, my sister was doing whatever she wanted to, and I felt like she had lost touch with reality, and I didn't know what to do with her anymore.
Well, if you don't have anywhere to live, I guess I have no choice.
Taking advantage of my mom, who reluctantly agreed, they moved in. But that was when my sister and her husband started taking full advantage of the family home. I was worried about my mother, and so I started going home to visit more often than I used to. But then, just as I expected, my sister wasn't even working and she was lazing about the house. And Henry didn't seem like he was ever going to work. I saw him going to the casino every day. He says that he wants to become an actor, but it looks like he's just messing around in life. Hey, Karen, neither of you are working at all, are you? It seems like you're forcing Mom to do all of the chores too. Even if I tried to scold her, my sister would just laugh it off, and she didn't seem to care at all.
Because there's no need for me to work anyway. I have a place to live, and the food just comes out for free too.
Hey, what are you saying? If you're going to live in Mom's house, isn't it the standard to at least put a little bit of money into the household? You know, the food expenses aren't free either. As it turns out, apparently these two were receiving an allowance for food from my mother, who was living off of Social Security. Judging by this, they were probably receiving living expenses as well.
Shut up!
What?
You know, you've always been annoying ever since we were little. It's better for old people to work anyways, so that they don't lose their minds. I am purposely making Mom do all of the chores for her own sake.
As if that would ever be the case. I was so worried about my mom being used in whatever way that they wanted that I could barely stand it. That's why I tried to convince my mom to move in with us, but Mom, I really think you should just come to our place and live with us. However, my mom had an easy smile on her face. This was her response.
Thank you, Paige. But you know what? It's also my responsibility that that girl grew up to be that way. This time, I'm thinking about properly teaching her a lesson. So you really don't need to worry, Paige. I'm just going to keep an eye on her, and someday I'll clean it up.
Are you sure? Well, if that's what you say, Mom, then it seems that my mom had her own way of thinking. But I thought that she had already made her decision and I didn't have to push any further. However, not long after that one day, my sister and her husband said another unbelievable thing to us.
Hey, Paige.
My sister spoke to me like that. I only had a bad feeling come over me.
You know, that house has gotten pretty old, so I was thinking about renovating it soon.
I know, right? The bathroom is old, but we wanted a jacuzzi and a sauna, and there's no need for a family room with the altar.
To be fair, my family home is over 40 years old, so there were a few places that were coming apart. But a jacuzzi and sauna? And on top of that, you say you don't need my father's altar? What do they mean?
Also, now we're looking after our mom, so you're gonna pay for all of it, Paige. And plus, you should be putting in some money to us to thank us for looking after her.
Excuse me? Wait a minute. What are you saying?
You do realize that we're the ones taking care of Mom, but also you're not doing anything. So it's given that you could at least put out some money, right? I heard that you just built a brand new house. Kevin makes a pretty good amount of money, doesn't he?
No. But that's ridiculous, isn't it? And plus, we had to take a 35-year loan. What do you mean taking care of Mom? It's the opposite. Mom is the one taking care of you guys. You leave all the chores to Mom, And both of you aren't working and you're just unemployed, aren't you? If mom is going to be living here by herself, then I would consider the renovation, but you just came up with this because you guys wanted to have your way. Isn't that right? When I confronted my sister with reality, she got pissed off.
Excuse me? What are you saying? Henry might be unemployed right now, but he's about to be super successful. For the future, he's just in the process of self-discovery.
So, a guy well into his 30s is unemployed and in the process of self-discovery. I don't know what he was aiming to be, but I had never seen Henry working hard towards anything at all, and I'm sure he's just going to continue being unemployed and gambling for the rest of his life. Well then, when you become famous, why don't you use that to renovate and do whatever you want? And plus, any help from my mom, I'm already giving directly to her, because if I give it to you anyway, you're just going to waste all of that money. When my sister heard me say that, this time she said,
Wait, you were giving money to mom every month? That old hag, she definitely lied to me, and she's only giving me her social security money.
I knew it. My sister was even using my mother's social security money. She came home out of nowhere to the family home, is now a parasite to my mother. I was shocked beyond words. However, I remembered the conversation that I had with my mother the other day, and so I somehow tried to keep it to myself and went back to my home. And then, the day after that conversation, the situation that I feared the most finally became reality. Our front doorbell rang, and so when I opened up the front door, standing there was my mother holding a very large suitcase. Mom? What's the matter?
I'm sorry to come unannounced like this, but I was kicked out of the house by Karen and Henry.
My mother looked upset, like she might cry. What? Wait a minute! Is it because I denied them the money that they asked me for yesterday?
No, you didn't do anything wrong. This is my fault for spoiling Karen.
I hurried to let my mom into the house and asked her to tell me the details. It turned out that after that, my sister even tried to steal the money that I was secretly giving her every month. When my mom refused, this time Henry and my sister ganged up on her, and they said, "You useless old hag, get out!" and threw her out along with her belongings.
I didn't have anywhere else to go, so I'm sorry, Paige.
What are you saying? There's no need for you to apologize, Mom. Plus, we built this house with the intention of living here with you. Pauline will also be so happy. When Pauline saw her grandma, she was ecstatic.
Granny, are you gonna live with us in this house? I'm so happy!
While my daughter was happily waving her arms in the air, my mind was full with anger towards my sister and her husband. Ah, that idiot couple! I'm never going to forgive them for treating my mother this terribly. However, my mom had noticed that I was feeling this way.
Paige, dear, I'm fine. That stupid daughter.
What?
Even though I gave her multiple chances, looks like she finally dug her grave herself. It seems like she's never going to learn unless she suffers. I can't believe she's making me take it this far. Why don't I shove into that tiny little brain of hers the way that this world truly works? Well then, Paige, we're about to become very busy.
I'm not really following, but it sounds fun, so why not? Yeah. A few days later, I received a phone call on my cell phone from my older sister.
Paige, Mom's social security isn't enough money for us. Send us money every month too. And inside of the house is also a disaster, so can you come here and clean it up?
Excuse me? Why should I have to send you money? I'm not understanding at all.
Because we're protecting this house for the family. If everybody is gone, then what are you going to do to the house?
No. You kicked Mom out and you're living there for free. Listen, you kicked Mom out of the house and you still think you can say whatever you want? You were relying on Mom for the chores and money and everything, weren't you?
Like I said, that's because we were looking after the elderly for you. So it's a given that we should be getting some money. But then she was cheap and she didn't give us the money that you were sending her, so we kicked her out. Of course, we took her bank book as well, so her social security is ours. But now that the useless woman is gone, it's so refreshing.
How can you say that about your own mother? Are you kidding me? You must be joking. When I said that, I hung up the phone. I was so angry at her outrageous attitude that I thought boiling water might come out of my head, and I couldn't stand it. However, when my mother saw me in that state,
Paige, I heard that conversation. It seems like that girl truly doesn't know anything at all. Even when your father was still alive, you tried to tell her so many times and get her to have a change of heart. But no matter what we said to her, it was like talking to a brick wall. Nothing that your father said seemed to strike any chords with her, ever. But you know what? With this, I've also decided that's the final straw.
As she said that, my mother pulled out her laptop and she began. Even though my mother was a full-time housewife, she always had a lot of interest and she even went to a computer skills class and mastered it in no time. Actually, she's able to use a computer way better than I can.
Well then, let's see. With this, the house is finished.
As she said, my mother took one last deep breath and pressed the enter button on her laptop. Mom? Does this mean? When I looked at my computer screen, I was shocked, but my mother only laughed and said this.
That's it! It's finished! I just sold that house!
What?
And I also moved all of my bank accounts, so they won't be able to put their hands on my money ever again.
Oh dear. Well, my mother is the #1 person I would never want as an enemy. The next day, I was woken up by loud banging on my front door, and when I went outside, standing there was my sister and her husband.
Hey, Paige, Mom. These people I've never seen before showed up out of nowhere, and they told us to get out of the house. But what's going on? On top of that, yesterday, when I tried to withdraw money, your bank account was gone, Mom. What's going on?
Looks like the people from the real estate company were quick to get moving. Even Pauline came to the front door and she was grinning from ear to ear.
Auntie, looks like you had nowhere else to run to, and that's why you came here begging for your life, isn't it? How lame. Huh? Wait, what? I can't believe you were just living up in the clouds until you got to this situation. The both of you together must be really stupid.
What?
Anyway, help us. There's no way that we can leave the house. Oh, is that so? Well, that must be difficult. But you know, you need to leave that house as soon as possible. Huh? Wait. But why?
The two of them were shocked, and so I informed them of the reality that my mother had already sold the house, and also how she had closed the bank account as well.
Huh? What do you mean?
What do you mean? What do you mean? That's what it means. Even after listening to that, you still don't understand that the house is sold? You must be really stupid.
Pfft, Pauline, you were so good at rubbing salt into the wound.
Shut up! Hey, Karen! This isn't what you told me! You told me that there was a house where we could get 3 meals a day and sleep there! That's why I followed you to your family house! But now we don't have any money, and we don't have a place to live anymore! What's going on?
See? I knew it. This guy didn't have any intention of ever working at all.
No way! Hey, Mom, we'll let you come back. So let's live in the house again together. You can come back.
Wait, why is she saying that it's a favor to our mom? Listen, we're not going to let you have it your way anymore.
Because at this rate, we don't have a place to live, and we also don't have any money. Mom, you have to help us.
Looks like she never changed, and that she only comes to us whenever she's in trouble. However, it seems like she had already lit the fire to my mother's anger, and it was too late.
Don't call me your mom. I only have one daughter, and that's Paige. I don't recall ever raising a daughter like you, who only complains and does whatever she wants. Now go! Hurry up and get out! Paige, bring me the salt!
As she yelled that, my mother kicked my sister and her husband away. And as they were running away, she threw a bunch of salt at them. My sister and her husband looked so scared. Take that! After that, my mother disowned my sister, and I cut off all ties with her as well. After they were kicked out of the family house, they didn't have a job or any money, and my sister and her husband instantly became homeless. Because they had been taking out a lot of loans, relying on my mother's money to pay it back, they were caught by the debt collectors, and I heard that the two of them were sent off to a factory far away somewhere. And then, my mother officially moved into my house. Pauline is super happy that every day she gets to eat her grandma's snacks. My husband also loved my mom's cooking, and he's gained a bit of weight. When we built this house, we had already made a room for my mom, hoping to live with her in the future, so there was no inconvenience at all. If anything, it was the opposite of inconvenience. My mother was helping out around the house, and it was a huge help.
The only thing that I can do well is chores anyway.
That's what my mom says, but her housewife skills were too amazing. From cleaning to laundry, and also preparing all of the meals. She could do them all in an instant, and she didn't leave anything behind for me to do. Thanks to that, I was able to leave Pauline with my mother and go back to work, so now I'm working hard to provide more for my family. Although, while my mother is looking after Pauline, I don't know what she is teaching my daughter, but it felt like Pauline was powering up even more than she was before. What a combo.
Paige, dear. Actually, I started something new recently.
Oh, really?
You know, after I sold the family home, I also received a large sum of money for that. And I thought that maybe if my household skills could be useful in some way. So look at this.
Wow, that's amazing. Is that like a housemaid service?
That's right. I decided to start my own company after discussing it with Pauline.
Oh my. Well, isn't that something? That looks like it's going to be big.
I tried hiring women in my generation, but somehow it immediately became a big hit. And recently, the mass media have been reaching out to me for features too.
What? Wait a minute, does that mean, is that the Pawnee silver service that everyone's been talking about?
That's right, and the logo is the sweet potato fries. Pauline said that if we made that the logo, then it would definitely go viral, so.
Wow, you and Pauline, you seriously are an unbeatable combo.
And then, it was decided that we're going to the stock exchange next.
What? Mom, you're too amazing. This is why you're the best.
Thank you for watching! What kind of crazy people will we get to see next? Stay tuned for more!